Lori Cloud with Keller Williams Realty in Nashville, and today is another Mythbuster video. Do you believe that the 2020 recession equals housing crisis? We're going to talk about that today, and I really do hope you'll watch the entire video and share it with somebody who you've also heard kind of talk about this. So, Realtor.com did a study and found that a little over 50% of all future home buyers believe that there is a recession coming in 2020. And then 57% of those same people believe that the recession will be equal to 2008 or worse. Okay, worse than 2008. 2008, of course, got the moniker of the Great Recession. So that is an incredibly bold statement to make. Now, where is that coming from? Where is that perception coming from? Because I definitely remember 2008. I was a homeowner. I definitely saw my value go down, but I just held on to my house. And like I said, I sold it last year and walked away with a great equity. So the thing is if you could wait it out, but some people couldn't. They were upside down. Some people lost their homes. Maybe your parents were victim to that. So I understand why there is sort of this PTSD out there when people hear recession, that you're reverting back to 2008 since that was the most recent recession. But not all recessions are defined that way. And honestly, recession is defined as just 2 consecutive quarters of a GDP turndown, any kind of slip whatsoever. So let's talk more about housing and recessions. So let's go back just for a second to 2008. So the number one trigger for that, of course, was subprime mortgage lending practices. People were getting loans that never, ever, ever should have been given a loan. Of course, what they did to rectify that was put a lot of federal regulations in place. And I think a good testament to that working today is that every once in a while, we'll get an investor call me and say, hey, I'd really like to buy foreclosures around Nashville. And I'm like, there really aren't hardly any. I mean, they're very few and far between, which I think, again, points to how tough the lending restrictions have gotten. So it is much, much more regulated. So now let's go back to fall of this year. This is really when we first started hearing the media really put this in the headlines of this talk about, is a recession looming? And of course, as we are starting to go into election year, this is going to be amped up even more. And there's obviously going to be 2 very different perspectives. No one can refute that this has been the longest economic recovery in U.S. history. But they've, of course, everybody has their opinion on whether it will continue or what could be happening and what would cause this downturn. So now when I actually just looked at Bloomberg this morning, the experts are predicting that there's like a 26% chance of a recession in 2020. And so they're like, no, not really time to panic at all. That actually is a little bit lower than we were even predicting a little bit earlier in the year when, of course, a lot of the trade war, was really, again, in the headlines. So as we are gearing up and we're staring January in the face, I thought it would also be helpful to understand, well, what are the triggers that are most likely to send us into recession? Well, the experts say, number 1 is a trade war. Number 2 is a stock market correction. And number 3 is some unknown geopolitical event, something that we don't even know could be on the horizon. You know where housing shows up? Barely in the top 10. A housing slowdown, not housing downturn, not housing crisis, a housing slowdown shows up as number 9. Number 9. So let's think about that. So when people are like, I think that, I'm really fearful of buying a house because am I going to buy it and then I'm going to be upside down on it? That is really not even the same people that are predicting a potential recession are also predicting that a recession in 2020 is going to look a lot more like 2001, 2002, which was a reaction to the September 11th attack. where we had about a 27% stock market crash. And so what happened then? Actually, housing, believe it or not, went up 6.6%. You might be like, well, why in the world would that happen? Well, people got very fearful of putting their money in the stock market. They pulled it out and they put it into real estate, because everybody knows real estate is one of the safest investments you can make. So let's now talk about what those same experts are predicting for housing prices over the next 2 years. They looked at every state in the union, and there was only one state that they predicted was not going to have at least a 2% appreciation rate in the next year or two. You know what that state was? The big state of Texas. But they just missed it by a tad. It was 1.9% for them. Here in Nashville, we have a prediction of 4%. And that is very consistent with everything I've heard from Keller Williams out of Austin, at our headquarters, also who are studying the US and Canadian economy. And they also are, everyone is saying 4% looks very, very doable for Nashville. So again, we've got experts like Fannie and Freddie all predicting that anything you buy right now, that there is zero chance it is going to be cheaper 2 years from now on average. Just not going to happen. So if you have sidelined yourself out of fear of buying, I really hope that you take this to heart. I'm happy to show you more of these studies and talk to you on the phone more about it. But I really do think it's probably the best mindset to have is be calm and carry on. Maybe I've watched too much of The Crown. I've kind of binge watched season 3 in like 3 days. But I'm going to send you a graph below so you can check out your home state's appreciation rate and see where that lands. And again, if you believed in this myth, I really want you to give me a call. Let's set an appointment. Let's talk about what you're looking for, because November to February is a great time to find motivated sellers. So clearly everybody is trying to keep as much money in their wallet as possible. I want to help you do that too. Give me a call. Let's set an appointment.